The soldiers of the 47th Mechanized Brigade, together with adjacent units of the Ukrainian Defense Forces, repelled a massive Russian assault in the Kursk region. The brigade published a video of the destruction of enemy equipment and soldiers. The Russians used a huge amount of equipment and personnel to attack the positions of Ukrainian defenders. The attacks were carried out in 6 waves. According to the Ukrainian military, the Russians used about 50 pieces of equipment in total. Tanks with trawls were the first in the Russian convoys to make minefield passages. The enemy also tried to break through using infantry fighting vehicles, IFVs, armored personnel carriers, APCs, and even buggies. Russian armored vehicles were hit by FPV drones, and explosive munitions were dropped on the infantry from drones. In addition to the units of the 47th Magura Separate Mechanized Brigade, soldiers from neighboring units holding the line in this area were also burning enemy vehicles. The released footage shows several armored vehicles burning after being hit, and several more were immobilized. The 47th Brigade reported that during these offensives, the Russian military lost 45 soldiers killed and 53 wounded. Previously reported that soldiers of the 61st Mechanized Brigade Stepova repelled an enemy assault near Sudzha, Kursk region. The video shows how a large group of Russian infantry was destroyed by artillery, including cluster munitions and drones. In addition, Ukrainian defenders engaged a tank to neutralize the enemy assault group, which fired at the Russians at close range. Meanwhile, the units of the 37th Marine Brigade repelled the Russian assault in the Kurakov sector. The video of the repelled assault was posted on the official page of the Ukrainian Navy. The enemy engaged 2 armored personnel carriers in the assault, which began moving toward the Marines' positions, where they encountered previously set minefields. Thus, an armored personnel carrier that was in front of the convoy and was establishing a smokescreen hit a mine, but despite the damage, managed to continue moving. It managed to disembark the enemy infantry, who sought shelter in the woods. Meanwhile, the second armored personnel carrier also hit a mine and exploded near another APC, making them easy targets for FPV drone pilots. Despite their anti-drone protection, the armored personnel carriers were severely damaged and caught fire. At the same time, the enemy infantry trying to find shelter in the woods were attacked by aerial bombers. The enemy used another armored personnel carrier to evacuate the rest of the troops, but before it could reach the place of evacuation of the enemy infantry, it was attacked by an FPV drone and successfully destroyed. After it was destroyed, the Marines began to clear the forest belt. In addition to the drones, artillery with cluster munitions began to target the remaining hostiles. The assault was repelled near the village of Kostiantynopolska. It should be noted that according to Deep State, the enemy is making some progress, but due to the Suki-Yali River flowing there, it is not easily able to move further from the settlement. Earlier, purported that the pilots of FPV drones and bomber drones of the 37th Separate Marine Brigade had repelled another mechanized assault of the enemy in the Kurakov sector. Previously, it was reported that the Marines had repelled a mechanized assault involving 3 armored personnel carriers and a tank. The Marines also fought to defend Kostiantynopolsky, which played an important role in preventing the encirclement of troops in the towns of Hanivka and Uspanivka. It should be noted that in most assaults, the enemy does not conduct engineering reconnaissance, and the movement of equipment takes place without appropriate mine protection equipment, which only increases the number of damaged and destroyed vehicles. Meanwhile, Ukrainian warriors repelled another occupier's attack. This time, Russians tried to storm Ukrainian positions using quad bikes. This was reported by the 12th Special Operations Brigade Azov on its Telegram channel. It is reported that a group of Russian occupiers planned to enter the positions of the defense forces of Ukraine on quad bikes. However, the daring raid was stopped at the entrance to the trenches of the defenders of Ukraine. After destroying the vehicles, the brigade's attack drone operators systematically targeted the enemy infantry, which had scattered across the area, the military noted. Ukrainian warriors also recorded their work on video from reconnaissance and attack UAVs. The footage shows how Russian equipment was damaged, and personnel were injured as a result of successful and coordinated actions by the Ukrainian military. As a result, Russian light vehicles were destroyed, and many Russians were killed and wounded.